So this is going to be kind of a glimpse into the mobility and joint health class that I have started at Smiley Building. It's going to be every Tuesday and Thursday from 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning. And the reason this is kind of the first class I'm putting out there is because I think it's a very important practice to continually be taking care of your joints and making sure each joint is being used to its full capacity every day, and also that we're strengthening and expanding the range of motion so that we can just have as much freedom in our movement practice as possible. So yeah, without further ado, we'll get into it. A few things I want to cover before we actually start moving is, in this practice, the number one rule is we never want to be working into pain. So if you ever are feeling a twinge of pain in a movement or in one of the isometrics, what I want you to do is either decrease the range of motion that you're working into, so don't go as deep into the stretch or don't draw as big of a circle while we're doing our cars, or don't do, lower the intensity of the actual contraction. So a lot of times we'll be doing isometrics, and if you're starting to feel pain, maybe don't contract the tissue as intensely. The second thing is, especially while developing this practice, our number one goal is to be finding this mind-muscle connection between the tissue that we're trying to contract. So if you're having trouble feeling the tissue that we're targeting, do the same thing as I was saying before. Either decrease the range of motion that you're working into or decrease the intensity that you're working at. So don't contract as hard, and try to see if that helps you find the contraction, because it's more important to find the contraction first than have a super intense contraction. That will come later as we develop the practice, and it's easier to find that contraction. And then lastly, I will be cueing percentages that we're working at. So if I say we're going to work up to 60% of your maximum effort, that basically means that we're going to be irradiating tension throughout our body and particularly focusing it on the tissue that we're trying to contract. And we're only going up to 60% of our maximum effort. And especially for the beginning classes, trend towards the lower part of that percentage. So if you're questioning if you're at 60%, maybe go a little bit lighter, because it would be better to just start to get used to training these really small muscles instead of jumping straight up to a maximum effort and potentially maybe straining or pulling a muscle in the first few classes to where you wouldn't be able to do it for a week or two. So trend towards lighter, and then as we get used to the practice, then the intensity comes. So that's basically it. Now we will start. Today is focused on shoulders. So how we're going to warm up is we're going to start with our shoulder cars. So to do this, I like to do it kneeling, and then we're going to hug our ribs to make sure they're not flaring up at all. And then I'm going to keep my body nice and still the whole time, and I'm only going to be moving through the shoulder joint. So I'll take a deep breath in, kind of create some tension in my torso, radiate into my legs, and then from here, I'm going to straighten this arm, bring it up and across, and we're only going to work up to 30% tension here, just to get warmed up. Keeping the elbow locked, not letting the elbow flare, not tilting, and then once I get close to my ear, or as high up as I can, then I'm going to rotate my palm out, and keep rotating the shoulder, continue to spin it until we're back by our sides, and then down by our side, my palm's facing away and my shoulder is maximally internally rotated. From here, I'm keeping that tension, and I'm going to start going straight back with that internal rotation of the shoulder. Then I can't go any farther. I hit this roadblock, and then I start spiraling the shoulder the opposite way. Keep spiraling. Keep that torso and chest facing forward, elbow locked. Bring the arm up to the ear, and then down. Let's do one more on this side. Up. As close to the ear as we can without extending the spine. Rotate out. Keep rotating. Continue to spiral that shoulder until we're down by our side. Palm facing away from us, shoulder maximally rotated forward, and then we're going to bring it back as far as we can. Then begin to rotate once we hit that roadblock. Rotate, 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 elbow locked, and then down. Alright, now we'll do two on this side. So, take a deep breath in, create some tension, and then bring the arm up and across. As high as we can, keeping that rib down. Rotate without rotating the torso, only working with the shoulder joint right now. Until we're by our sides, palm facing to the side, shoulder maximally rotated. And back. We hit this roadblock here, then begin to rotate the opposite way, unwinding. And through. Let's do one more, up and across. Hit a roadblock here, rotate out, spiral, spiral, spiral. By our sides, bring it back. Once we hit this roadblock, rotate out the other way. Elbow locked, and then down. Okay, great. Cars are a great thing to be doing in the morning. It's a great way to express each joint's full range of motion every single day to make sure we're keeping them healthy and moving smoothly. All right, next we're going to be doing some kind of joint or shoulder capsule cars. So how we're going to do this is we're going to start with our hands behind our head, and what we're going to do here, also creating tension in the torso so that we're not extending and compensating. So take a breath in, create some tension, and I'm going to bring my elbows back, lift my hands off the back of my head, extend at the elbow, just moving my forearms, but my upper arm is staying still. Then I'm going to bring it back, hover it behind the head, relax, and then repeat. Bring the elbows back, hover the hands, extend the elbows, bend the elbow again, back, hover, relax, one more. Bring the elbows back, hover the hands, extend the elbows, bend the elbows, and relax. Alright? Okay. We're also going to be working on our scapular mobility a little bit today because the scapula and the shoulder joint are so interconnected. So how we do these cars, which can often be a little bit trickier, I'm going to use this to just make it more clear the orientation of my arm. So this is always going to stay vertical. Same thing, I'll hug my ribs, and then what I'm going to focus on doing is bringing this forward, or shooting my scapula forward, and then think about keeping it forward, but raising it up, then pulling it back and up, and then pulling it back and down into my back pocket. Keeping the elbow locked the whole time, and noticing I'm not compensating in my spine at all. So we'll continue the circle. So I'm back and down right now. Now I'm pressing forwards and down. So this way. Now I'm raising it, but keeping that scapula pressing forward. And I'm pulling it back, but it's still raised. Now down. And you see we're kind of making these circles. And now I'll show you kind of from the side view. So I have this at like 45 degrees at an angle from my center line. And then from here, bring the scapula forward, bring it down, bring it back, bring it up and back, forwards, forwards and down, back and down, back and up, forwards and up, forwards and down, back and down. And we're continually moving in a circle, and then we can also switch there. Last warm-up we're going to do is we're going to do some spine cars. So how we're going to do this is you can also do this kneeling, or you can do it standing. And what you're going to do is, once again, radiate tension through your legs. And the main thing we need to focus on here is we're not rotating the hips. My hips are facing the same direction the entire time. And then I'm going to give myself a hug. And what we're going to do is fully round forward. So fully flexing forward as much as I can. And then from here, I'm rotating to the left as much as I can, keeping those hips facing forwards. And then from here, I'm going to, so rotate to the left. Now I'm going to side bend to the left, extend up, chest nice and proud, facing towards the sky, side bend to the right, rotate to the right to bring that top shoulder down and over, and then flexing forwards, the whole time keeping my hips facing forwards. So now we'll reverse it back. So flex forwards, rotate to the right, bring that top shoulder up and side bend to the right. Now extend back, proud chest, chest towards the ceiling, side bend to the left, rotate to the left, and flex forwards. Alright, so that's one in each direction. Feel free to pause the video and work through more of these cars at your own pace. And once again, the number one thing is just trying to really focus on only moving that joint. So even if our shoulder cars look like this today, that is fine. I'd rather that than having the same shoulder range of motion but compensating through the spine to make it look larger. The whole point is just focusing on moving each joint in isolation. And yeah, if you find any joints that are crackling a lot or just feel kind of sticky, then maybe it would be a good idea to work through it a few more times this morning. Alright, so now we will get into kind of the focused strength training in this class. So the first thing we're going to work on is shoulder internal rotation. So what you need for this is either like a block or a pillow or anything to put underneath your head to just add for a little bit more comfort here. And then I'm laying in this side position. From here, I have my upper arm coming straight out in front of me, and then my elbow bent at 90 degrees. And from here, I'm going to apply pressure with this top hand to the back of my wrist. And slowly applying pressure until I start to feel this stretch in my shoulder here. Some people may be able to go all the way to the ground, but it's not super common. Another thing to check if you feel like you can go all the way to the ground and this feels really easy check to see if the side of your shoulder is touching the ground, because how you can compensate this is the shoulder hikes up from the ground, and then we're here, but actually our true mobility is just here. So keep that side of the shoulder tight to the ground, feel the stretch, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to slow our breathing and try to relax into the stretch here. Try to make your exhales longer than your inhales. Try to see if you can get a little bit deeper into the stretch. So keep breathing. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do 2 isometrics. So isometrics are contractions without actually moving. So the first one we're going to do is I'm going to think about trying to rotate through the shoulder and basically apply force up into this resisting hand. So this hand is not going to let this arm rotate at all, but this arm is trying to rotate up like this. And then the second contraction that we'll do after is I'm thinking about trying to rotate through the shoulder again, so contracting all this tissue that's being stretched and try to pull my forearm down to the ground, deeper into the stretch. So those are going to be the 2 contractions. We'll do each of them twice. So we'll slowly ramp up, trying to apply pressure with the back of my forearm up into my hand by rotating through the shoulder. Think about spiraling in this direction. Press up and work up to about 60% of your maximum effort, or lower if you have any pain here. Also, if there's pain, don't go as deep into the stretch. We're going for longevity here. All right, hold, keep breathing. Try to keep that tension nice and consistent. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rotate the other way. Think about trying to pull this wrist down to the ground, but keep the shoulder pressed against the ground, and we're rotating through the shoulder. This is the tissue we're trying to contract in the shoulder right here. Breathe. Hold. Stay nice and consistent. Same thing, 60%. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Stay in the stretch. Apply some pressure with this top hand. And see if you have access to any deeper range, if that feels safe for you right now. Otherwise, no need to go any deeper. All right, so once again, try to slow our breathing and elongate the exhale to try to relax some more into the stretch. And we'll do the same thing one more time. And same thing after the cars. If you need to pause the video and hang out in this stretch for longer because you feel like your range of motion is lacking, feel free to do that. Otherwise, we'll just keep going. All right, so now we'll slowly start applying pressure up into this resisting hand, not letting our arm rotate at all. And think about rotating our upper arm bone in this direction, rotating the shoulder this direction. And find 60% of your maximum effort, or whatever amount of tension feels safe today. Breathe, hold steady there. And then we'll switch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull down. Try to pull your wrist closer to the ground. rotating through the shoulder, the opposite direction, trying to rotate it this way. Hold, hold, hold. Not letting the back of that shoulder come up from the ground. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay in the stretch for one last thing. We're going to start applying pressure up into this hand again. And now we're only applying partial resistance. So I'm going to resist, but I'm going to allow my arm to move a little bit. I'm going to press against it, up, and I'm still pressing against, but I'm resisting now with my arm. Coming back down, and then back up, and then back down. Let's do 2 more at about 60% resistance. One more. All right, now we'll come out of it and give our shoulders some love. Maybe do a light car. And just bring some movement back to the shoulder. It can be a lot, especially at the beginning. Sitting in these stretches for 2+ minutes. So it just takes some time to bring some blood flow back to the shoulder. All right, now we'll switch sides. Same thing, something under the head. Arms straight out in front of us, elbow at 90 degrees. Apply pressure on the top of that wrist. And try to relax into the stretch. Lengthen the exhales compared to the inhales. Helps our nervous system calm down. Makes it easier to relax into the stretch. And we're going to do the same thing as the other side. Also, just notice differences from side to side. Maybe this side does have some aches and pains, the other side didn't. Maybe we can go deeper on this side, but yeah, just play it safe on this first one, and if you can't go as deep, no worries at all. Just meet yourself where you're at. All right, so now we will start applying pressure up into this resisting hand. Rotating through the shoulder, trying to contract the stuff that's being stretched right now, and work up to 60% of your maximum effort here. And hold. Keep breathing. Try to hold that contraction steady. Hold, and we'll switch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try to bring that wrist and forearm closer to the ground, rotating through the shoulder. Don't let the side of the shoulder lift up from the ground. And hold, rotating this way, spiraling internally. Hold, hold, hold. 60% of your maximum effort, or whatever is safe for you today. This is a joint health class, so we're not working to the point where we're causing damage or injury. Hold, hold, hold. Keep breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Stay in the stretch. Lengthen your exhales. Try to relax. And we'll hold the stretch for a couple more seconds. And then we'll repeat those contractions again. And then do the resisted rotations to finish it. Alright, so pause the video if you want to stretch on here, but otherwise we're going to start the contractions again. So pressing up into this resisting hand by rotating through the shoulder, contracting the tissue that's being stretched in this position, up to 60% of our max effort. or whatever is safe for you today. And hold. Keep breathing. Hold steady. And we'll switch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch. Try to rotate. Bring the form close to the ground. Try to bring the wrist closer to the ground. Spiraling internally from the shoulder. Contracting that shortened tissue in this stretch position. And hold. This one can often be harder to feel. So if you need to back off on the range of motion or the intensity of the contraction that you're aiming for, that is okay. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay in the stretch, and then to finish it, apply pressure up into this resisting hand, but we're gonna beat the resistance with our rotating arm, rotate up, and then once we get straight up in the air, then we'll beat the resistance with the resisting arm, rotate down, and up, it's 60% resistance, nice and slow, down, 2 more, up, down, 1 more, finish it nice and slow, up, and down. Alright, come out of it, maybe do a light shoulder car, bring some blood flow back, and just whatever you need to do to make your shoulder feel good again. Bring it back to life. All right. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to move into a little bit of shoulder external rotation. So this is internal rotation, external rotation. So in the cars, we're in external rotation here, and then we're opening up and transitioning into internal rotation once we get here. So first, just to start feeling that contraction, we are going to need some sort of a prop, or you can also make it work just on a sticky mat or some surface where your forearms and hands have some tension. But if you have like a yoga block or a stick or any small box that can just keep your hands apart is what we need it for. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into this like elbow plank position, and I'm staying on my knees, and then from here you notice my spine is closer to flexion than extension. A lot of times when we're doing shoulder stuff, we want to be going into extension in our spine because it makes it feel like we have more mobility in our shoulders, but we're going to go more into flexion so that we're not compensating it all through our spine. So from here, I have my elbows in line with the distance that my hands are apart here, and then from here I'm thinking about first applying pressure into whatever prop I'm using. So I'm trying to bring my hands closer if I could, but because this is in the way, it's an isometric, and the contraction here is coming through the shoulder, trying to rotate in this way. So hold this contraction for a little bit, just trying to find the tissue that we're trying to target for the next few moves. So really try to find it, and then we'll switch. Think about trying to pry your hands off the prop that you're using. Keep that spine flexed. The side position. breathe. All right, and relax. So that was primarily used just to kind of understand the tissues that we're going to be focusing on. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do some lift-offs, and we're going to do kind of these swimmer things while we're laying on our stomach. So how we're going to set this up is just laying on our stomach. If you want to, you can have like little props. It's like I can put this here, and I'm going to have to lift my arm up and over it, but it's definitely not necessary. I'm going to move this out of the way. So we'll meet on our stomach, and then I like to rest my forehead on the ground, and then same thing with the spine. A lot of times we want to be extending here to be able to lift up higher, but we're not working on our spine right now. We're just focusing on the shoulders. So I like to think about sucking my belly button up towards my spine to have a little bit more flexion. So I have my arms out to the side, and then what I'm going to do is keep my elbows on the ground, try to lift up my wrist, and then from here, then I'll lift up my elbows, try to keep my wrists just as high, bring them up and forwards, down, down, and then we'll do 2 more. So up, lift up the elbows, bring them another 15 degrees, down, and then bring the wrist down, and then we'll do 1 more. So wrist up, keep that angle, lift the elbows up, and bring them up and forwards, and then relax. And then we'll bring them back. So bring them up, and out, down, wrist up, elbows up, around, down, and relax, wrist up, elbows up, 15 degrees, and down. Alright, so relax for a second, and we'll do that 1 more time. But this time we're going to keep the wrists up the entire time. So try to keep this angle the same the entire time if you can. Alright, so bring the wrists up, find that angle, try to hold it the whole time. Lift up the elbows, up and over. Up and over. 1 more if you can. Up and over. And then on our way back. Up and over. Up and over. 1 more. Up and over. Alright. So for those, we're looking to find that rotation of the shoulder, just like we were doing with the prop, and then also kind of thinking about contracting a lot of the tissues on the back of the shoulder to bring them up and back. Alright. Next, what we're going to do is same thing, except for we're going to have our elbows locked and our arms extended. So, once again, meet yourself where you're at, and we're trying to lift up as high as we can, but even if it's just barely hovering the ground, that is perfect. Or if that's even too much, we can also just think about being in this kneeling position, 1 arm keeping us still and stationary, and then doing the same thing here, where we can go even lower. Alright. So on your stomach, forehead's on the ground, arms to a T to our side, pull that belly button towards your stomach, elbows locked, and then pull them up, and then go 15 degrees, relax, up as high as you can, another 15 degrees, and then 1 more, up, close to the ears. Alright, and then we'll reverse our way back, up, 15 degrees out, up, 15 degrees, keep that elbow locked, up as high as we can, relax for a second, and we'll repeat that one more time. See if we can lift our arms up a little bit more on this one and really try and contract that tissue on the back of the shoulder. Alright, set up again, forehead's on the mat, arms teed out to the side, belly button side to our spine, and then up as high as we can, over 15 degrees, down, up, 15 degrees, down, up 15 degrees, close to the ears, and down. Alright, reverse it back, up 15 degrees out, up 15 degrees out, up 15 degrees out. Alright. And same thing with any of these moves. If that one is really doing it for you, then feel free to pause and work on it a few more sets. Alright. The last few things to finish this is we're going to do some scapular mobility from the plank position. So how to adjust the resistance here just depends on how much weight we're putting on our hands. So this is going to be more resistance, this will be a little bit less, this will be a little bit less. So just find what works for you today, and we're prioritizing finding the contraction over the level of intensity. So what we're going to be doing is first trying to press our scapulas down, our shoulder blades down into the ground and forwards, and then we're going to let gravity pull us down a little bit and actively pulling our shoulder blades together, and then pressing them forwards and down into the ground. The whole time keeping your elbows locked. So bring them back and together. Squeeze. Press them down and away. Bring them back and together. Breathe. Press them down and away. Bring them back and together. Press them down and away. Let's do one more. Back and together. Squeeze. Press them down and away. Squeeze. Press them a little bit farther away. And relax. Okay. And now whatever intensity you're doing that at, hopefully you know if that was a good intensity, or if you need to go to less weight on the hands or more, and then start building that strength of moving the scapula, particularly pressing the shoulder blades away. The way to work the opposite of that would be hanging from rings or TRX and having your feet out on the ground, and you're hanging from them, you're pulling them down and together, pressing them away. So just opposite resistance, and something that you could add to your routine if you have access to that. Alright, take a little rest, and then we'll do one more set of those, and then we'll finish up with just some cars to bring some blood flow back, and then some shaking and breathing. Alright, so find the intensity that works for you today, and then we're gonna press the ground away, press those shoulder blades forward, see if you can press them a little bit more, and pull them back and together. Keep the spine nice and neutral. Press away. Pull them together. Press away. Pull together. Press away. Pull together. Press away. Pull together. One more. Press away. Pull together. And press away to finish. Hold and relax. Alright. Sweet. So to finish, we're just gonna do some shoulder cars and some scapular cars. To notice any difference from the beginning of the class to the end of the class, because cars can be a great way to assess your mobility, and then also if certain moves are expanding that range of motion and what's working and what's not. So start, hug the rib, bring the arm up and across, close to the ear, rotate to the side, continue spiraling the shoulder until we're by our side, palm facing away, shoulder maximally internally rotated, bring it back, spiral the shoulder the other way, spiral, 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 bring it up to the ear, and down. Let's do one more on this side. Keep the torso and chest facing forwards, and up, rotate, 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 reverse, back, rotate, 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 the opposite way, elbow locked, and back. All right, let's do two on the other side, up and across, make sure that rib doesn't come up, lift as high as you can, rotate out to the side, spiral that shoulder, keep spiraling, then hand pointed away from us, shoulder rotated internally, go straight back till we hit this roadblock, then spiral out the opposite way. All right, keep the shoulders square in front of you, bring your arm up, rotate out to the side, rotate, rotate, rotate. Bring your arm back, rotate the opposite way, keep rotating, draw as big of a circle as you can, and down, and finish. We'll do our scapular circle, so bring the arm forwards and down, bring it down and back, bring it up and back, forwards and up, down and up, or sorry, down and forwards, down and back, up and back, forwards and up, forwards and down, back and down. All right, and opposite side, back and down, forwards and down, forwards and up, back and up, back and down, forwards and down, up and forwards, back and up, down and back. Try to keep that elbow locked, spine neutral, forward and down, up and forwards, up and back and down. All right. Those ones can be really tricky to really smooth that out and primarily focus on just moving the shoulder blade. All right, and to finish, we're just gonna do some shaking and then a few mindful breaths just to bring it to a close and check in with how we're feeling. So to shake, I like to think about shooting shockwaves up from the bottom of my feet all the way to the top of my head, and just letting everything go loose. And breathing in a rhythm with the shaking. And then you can also just focus on shaking your arms in isolation and shake out your legs. Just try to shake off any tension that you've been holding or any tension that we created from this practice. And relax. Relax your face. Relax your stomach. finish out, and then we'll meet in a seat. Close our eyes. And we're just going to take 5 mindful breaths. So at whatever pace feels good to you, just pay attention to the inhale and the exhale and the pauses between. And save all the other thoughts and planning for later. Just pay attention to what we're doing.